Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Dan Dix of pressfortruth.ca, and there's a lot of news coming out of Canada regarding cancel culture. I know a lot of you are pretty sick of this at this point. Well, another major figure has been brought down by this massive censorship racket that I guess you could call social justice warriors, attacking anything that isn't exactly on the borderline of what they consider okay and good, and what does the left and the SJWs think is good? Well, apparently trans kids. Anyway, let's go to Dan Dix about this story regarding Don Cherry, who just got fired from Hockey Night in Canada. And it's really interesting. A lot of people are talking about this story, Dan, because obviously Don Cherry is known as a controversial figure for some reason. I don't really find his comments that controversial, but after all these years of not getting fired for much less tame things, he just got fired for this statement, and I quote, "You people love, they come here, whatever it is, you love our way of life, you love our milk and honey, the least you could pay is a couple of bucks for a poppy or something like that. These guys pay for your way of life that you enjoy in Canada. These guys pay the biggest price." So, Dan, with Don Cherry getting fired for this rather tame comment, what do you think this says about the environment around cancel culture in Canada and this idea of hate speech in general, where literally anything you say can be taken as some form of hate speech and you can basically get your life destroyed? What do you think?
Well, tame is an understatement, because it was literally two words that triggered the counterculture cops and this outrage mob, as I called them in my last video, and that was "you people." Now, he has already come out and reiterated multiple times that when he said that, what he meant by that was everybody, anybody who comes to this country and is not wearing a poppy. He could have been referring to the British or Scottish or people from Ireland or things of that nature. So it's literally gotten to the point, our language has been weaponized so much that they are triggered by two words like "you people." And it got to the point where the CBC's Peter Mansbridge made the claim that he was essentially being racist by suggesting that it was only white people, who this is all based off of. Meanwhile, he never brought up race at all. Race wasn't brought up by Don Cherry. It was brought up by the mainstream media. So that's who's sowing discord. That's who's bringing up, the race issue here. And the fact that he got canceled and just fired on Remembrance Day is absolutely disgraceful. Now, I support the man's right to say what he's saying. However, I disagree. I'm not in favor of wearing a poppy. I think it's ridiculous to honor the troops in that way when they are taking over the opium fields there in Afghanistan and pumping it back into our streets. But at any rate, I believe in the man's right to say it. And as you say, it just goes to show just how far gone this current cancel culture has gotten.
Yeah, I mean, the group thinks surrounding the poppy thing. Yeah, I'm not supporting it either. I refuse to. I always have refused to support that. But with that said, I mean, just the notion that someone could get fired for something so tame. I mean, this was like common ground on something that we'd see a lot of on television, even state-run CBC 10 years ago. And now saying something like "you people," it's like it's weird because Robert Downey Jr. can wear blackface and say "you people" on that movie Tropic Thunder, but Don Cherry, who's known for saying controversial things, far more controversial than this, gets fired for this. And of course, Don Cherry commented that he meant it when asked if he had any regrets. He said no, and he said, "To keep my job, I cannot be turned into a tame robot." He has made a few statements regarding what's been happening, including that if you can get fired from the Boston Bruins, you get fired from television. And he didn't seem super angry about it. What are you seeing as far as statements go coming from Don Cherry?
Well, he is not regretting or taking anything back. He wishes he used the word everybody instead of "you people" in hindsight, right? See, nobody had a problem with this at the time. His co-host Ron McLean didn't have a problem. The network didn't have a problem. He left there like it was just another day. It wasn't until, after the following day that people started saying that he, said something wrong. So he's not taking back what he said. He still believes that they should be wearing poppies to honor the troops. He just wishes he used different wording in this current politically correct climate that he finds himself in. He just wishes in hindsight that he could take it back. Now, I think some of the major companies ought to really be thinking about what might transpire here, and hopefully things backfire in a big way.
Yeah.
Josh, you may remember what happened to Gillette, when they tried to virtue signal about male toxicity, and the public outcry. There's massive backlash against that, and Gillette lost a huge amount of revenue. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe it's time for Sportsnet to take a hit here, and hashtag boycott Sportsnet should hopefully start to trend, because let's call these guys out for what they are. This is cancel culture policing run amok because they're appeasing the politically correct culture. Sportsnet needs to be called out for firing this man.
Yeah, it's gotten so ridiculous when we're at a point where someone could say, like I said, something so tame. And obviously, I mean, if you look at the Wikipedia for Sportsnet or for Hockey Night in Canada, it says that it's still licensed by CBC. If that's true, I haven't been able to find good details on this as of yet. But if so, then it's connected to the government, which then the government is deciding what speech is okay and what speech is not. With that said, I predict already that we're going to be seeing people like Don Cherry doing tours, political correctness tours. I can't wait to see him on Ben Shapiro and the Rubin Report and stuff like that. You know it's going to happen, folks. There's probably going to be some speaking tour of some kind. This is what happens because, the popular reaction to this is most people don't care. Now, a lot of people who don't even like Don Cherry are supporting him in this case because it's gotten to the point where it's so ridiculous that it's almost laughable if it wasn't so scary and what that could mean for free speech down the line. I mean, with people like Justin Trudeau wearing blackface, and the left just loves him anyway and re-elects him. But then you have Don Cherry say, "you people," and everyone freaks out. It shows a clear double standard that I think the left only wants to use this kind of, hate speech talk as in a weaponized way against those they don't like, rather than actually be consistent when it comes to the issue and call out people on their own side. Like, I was talking with a friend of mine today about, Elizabeth Warren can call herself Native American. She can create a Native American cookbook. Justin Trudeau can wear blackface 4 or 5 times. I mean, but Don Cherry says "you people," and everyone loses their minds, and he gets fired as some kind of punishment for speaking freely, which not a whole lot of people do. A few people have noted Don Cherry's like the only guy in Canadian television that has any sort of personality. So good luck, Canadian television. Maybe they dig their own graves, and maybe it's all for the better. But going forward, there's a lot of problems as far as free speech in Canada. What do you think? Which direction do you think this is going in? Are we going further into social justice warrior insanity, or are people starting to get frustrated, and are they accidentally creating some kind of counter movement?
Well, both are happening. I think we're actually at a crucial fork in the road moment, especially over the next 4 years with the reselecting of the leftist mobs under Justin Trudeau. I think we're going to see this come together very soon. We clearly are seeing a huge counter movement developing, and I think it's about time, because what we've seen is the pendulum swing so far to the other side with this social justice warrior movement that people are starting to see it now clearly for what it is, and they're getting fed up with it. To the point where, Canadian icons, I guess you could call them, a lot of people look up to guys like Don Cherry, are being ousted for 2 simple words when he didn't even specify race. That shows that we do have a problem, but people are recognizing that we have a problem. And I don't know if you noticed, Josh, there's a petition with well over 100,000 signatures already in support of Don Cherry. Yeah. There was a Russian team in the league who's already offered him a new job. So I think we're actually going to see a lot of good things come of this, and hopefully some really good, solid people are going to start supporting people like Don, and people who have that happen to them moving forward. And I do have hope that we are going to see that.
Yeah, I have to add that when people call Don Cherry racist for this kind of thing, I think he's more nationalistic. In the past, he's gotten in a lot of trouble, going back 30 years, for calling, white Europeans pansies and stuff like that. Like, he would attack, white Europeans for playing hockey and saying that they couldn't play hockey, and he used to get in trouble for that all the time. I think he's more just like over-the-top nationalistic. I don't agree with him, but also it's hard to agree with the other side. So in this kind of case, I'm like, go Don Cherry. We stand behind Don Cherry. And I think it's causing a lot of people to get more restless with this. Everyone's afraid to say say things, and that's going to cause kind of like that counter movement to really spring up, and it's going to cause a lot of problems for these far leftists down the line. And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, it might create extremism on the opposite side, which maybe they'll be happy to see, because they'll finally have a real opposition to go up against instead of making up fairy tales about the other side. But with that said, this is important for all of us in independent media too, because this cancel culture is reaching all of us. It's attacking all of us. We are seeing that coming up on YouTube on December 10th. So stay tuned for all of our videos on this subject, because censorship is alive and well, and they're trying to self-censor people, not just as far as monetization goes, but making us self-censor, be afraid to say things because someone might shut us down or stop us. And YouTube is going to be cracking the whip on many of us on December 10th with their new terms of services. So stay tuned for a lot more on that. Dan Dix of Press for Truth, of course, has been entirely demonetized for most of this year now, and everyone should go and help out Dan in any way they can at pressfortruth.ca. Any final words, Dan, as we close this off?
Well, I think we're potentially seeing the final nail in the coffin of free speech and free expression here in this country. But, not all hope is lost. As I say, there is hope to turn this thing around. And I just hope that, through these kinds of conversations moving forward, we can hopefully enlighten some people who are, somehow brainwashed or conditioned into thinking that this is for the betterment of society. Because obviously we don't want racism. We don't want bigotry essentially moving forward, but these are false accusations. So we need to clear the water. We need to, clear the muddied waters, and conversations like this are how we're hopefully going to continue to do it moving forward. So I want to thank you for having me on to discuss this important issue, Josh.
Absolutely. In the future, this kind of stuff is actually going to lead to more racism. It's going to create the opposite effect, and it's unfortunate because, it's basically a lot of the left are shooting themselves in the foot for this very reason. But with that said, as always, as we close it off, remember, Epstein didn't kill himself and Julian Assange is still in prison. I appreciate you joining us today, Dan, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson with Dan Dix, signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, Wham! Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated, as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on float.app. That's flote.app. at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Float.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Float and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are two major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.